I also think it is kind of like the way the playoffs have worked out. Like it is the 4 best teams. Like
absolutely, yes.
Like it is absolutely it is. It is 1 and 2,
and this is what you want to see from the NFL.
Exactly.
You want to see this type of play.
Yes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Washed Athlete Podcast and another episode of This Week in Sports. This time with the whole crew on the pod. All 5 of us for the first time are finally on the pod. If you're new around here, we are the Washed Athlete Podcast. We are a group of college kids at the University of Pittsburgh, just trying to enjoy making content for you. We have a mainline series and a sports series, so we'd appreciate it if you check them out. Drop a like, comment, subscribe. And we're going to get into the NFL because this is what we built towards. Divisional rounds probably the most fun part of the NFL season. You have 4 games going on, a lot of interesting matchups, good quality games. So now we're getting really down to the wire. NFC, AFC championship game coming up. But before we get into those future matchups, we're going to talk about the games that happened in the past, starting with the first game of the weekend, Jags versus Chiefs. I just want to get your overall impressions from the game. Like, what did you guys think about that game?
Jamal Agnew can't do anything but kick return.
That's a takeaway.
Trevor Lawrence is him, legitimately.
Except when he throws the pick to end the game.
Yeah,
that was an amazing pick. Though.
It was a one-handed jumping pick. It's because I think we're really seeing. I think there was some stat. It was Mahomes is the oldest person currently in the playoffs at this point. And it truly is just amazing that we're seeing this next generation of incredibly talented quarterbacks go through. Yeah. And it's awesome to see that Trevor Lawrence has that dog in him, but the Chiefs were just better. Yeah. There's really not much else to say.
Yeah, and I have typed here on the notes that this was the opposite Trevor from the Chargers game. Trevor comes down the Chargers game for those 4 interceptions back to back pretty much. And then he plays a pretty clean game in the Chiefs game for the most part. So you see that kind of maturation between game 1 and game 2 in the playoffs where he was definitely not the reason the Jaguars lost. And I don't know about you guys, but I thought the Chiefs they simply looked like the better team the entire time. I never thought, even when Mahomes went down, I was I still don't think the Jaguars are going to win.
Didn't Chad Henne do a 96 drive, score a touchdown? They plug him in. It's whatever.
I think it was 98. Yeah,
it's who cares?
I don't understand how he's still in the league.
He's a dog, bro. You don't get it.
Unfortunately, I cannot say that I thought the Chiefs were going to win the entire time.
You certainly didn't.
I did not. There's textual evidence to say otherwise. But obviously the Chiefs just straight up were the better team. But I really do. I was pretty impressed with the Jaguars. Just overall, I think they had a great year. I think kind of shows that 1, Doug Peterson's a great coach. 2, Urban Meyer was horrible.
He was so bad.
They were without Travis Etienne, but again, I don't think that would have made as much of a difference. But
James Robinson was a 1,000-yard rusher the year before.
Yeah,
and then he got traded to the Jets,
and he didn't even play for the Jets. They just didn't want to play.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, he went to the Jets. Yeah, I picked him up in fantasy thinking he'd be good, and he just didn't play.
He was complaining on Twitter. He's like, "When are the Jets going to let me play?"
Yeah,
just a prisoner. I love when people just get they just they're really good, and then they just get instantly benched. It's just what the heck happened?
It's Kenny Galladay's career.
Literally, there's all you can just go through all the time, especially in football more than any other sport, where you just have all these players who were really good for one season. I mean,
Ronaldo.
Who was Johnson?
That's what it was. Yeah, David Johnson. I mean, fantasy king.
DeMarco Murray.
DeMarco Murray.
He was I will admit the Eagles did ruin his career.
We did.
I'll accept blame for that.
He was one of the coldest running backs that 1 year,
and we stole him from the Cowboys.
And the biggest note we can note from the Jaguars-Chiefs game is there was no doubt in my mind when Mahomes rolled up on his ankle that he was coming back in.
Oh, he was getting in that game no matter what.
1,000%. As soon as he went down, I was there's no chance he doesn't play, which just is a testament to how tough Mahomes is.
He looked like he was going to fight a trainer to get on that field. Legitimately. He was so pissed that they were even hey, can we just go see that your ankle isn't broken? And he's like, get out of my face! I'm playing!
Yeah.
With a Kermit accent.
I'm here.
I'm here.
The raspy Kermit voice.
Yeah, but he's so good. He is so good at football. He's he is the new prototype quarterback.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mobile, cannon, accurate, dog.
And he has all the skills off the field, approaching the media, talking, all of that is just
great head on his
perfect.
shoulders. He was able to figure out how to get his wife and brother to shut up without any public.
I completely forgot about that.
They were the two most.
I forgot about them.
They made everybody hate the Chiefs, and we haven't heard a word from them the entire season.
The first time I saw Brittany, that's Brittany, I saw her. They just panned to her into the box, whatever.
Yeah, she was just in the box.
That was the first.
Silent.
First
Nothing.
thing I've ever seen of her in months, besides her having the other kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the little meme about I hate all
Yeah,
three of them.
whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That was a hilarious
You
video.
can go check out multiple episodes. We talk about that too much.
It's so good.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I have so much respect for Mahomes. Like I think
Yeah.
last year was like after the Chiefs crashed out, it was like less than a week. He was already back in the gym, just grinding.
Yep.
He's a
Yeah.
beast.
And you can't teach what he does, but like especially the mentality and how he approaches everything. Like I mean, I saw him talking to the media about his ankle injury. Never tried to like play it up to be worse than it was. He just was literally like, I'm feeling better, I'm going to play. And, we've just been hitting rehab hard. Like, just perfect answers, never gets himself in trouble. And I think absolutely, like, Brittany and Jackson Mahomes were, like, so loud on his side of the camp for a guy who never really talks that much in Mahomes.
Yep.
And you haven't heard anything from Brittany, not on social media, not at the games. And I don't know where the heck Jackson's at.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from
Yeah.
Jackson in, like, a year.
I haven't seen his TikToks in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Got suspended.
That would do it.
That'll do it, yeah.
So
I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, Jaguars had a great year. It'll be awesome to
A
see.
lot of hope for them. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that it was like they were playing with house money.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they made the playoffs, made the divisional round, way exceeded expectations. You have to be happy,
And that's why Doug Peterson gets Coach of the Year nominations in the top 3.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
man, I mean their division sucks.
Yeah.
So-
well,
so
they're gonna run the division next year. I
They
don't think
will
there's much
own
doubt
that
yet.
division.
What was it? The Titans, the
Titans, Texans, Colts.
Oh,
They
wow.
ruled
Oh,
that
wow.
division.
Yeah.
Jeez.
sucks.
Yeah,
the
so
Colts
they're-
are a dumpster fire. The
Well,
Titans are.
we'll
also
get into that.
Yeah. That'll be a nice offseason preview, so stay
Yeah.
tuned for that.
Yeah.
But moving on to the Bengals-Bills game, this was definitely the marquee matchup of the weekend, especially on paper. But that's not really how the game played out, as the Bengals took care of the
Just
Bills
better.
handedly. Like
Joey
it wasn't a question since drive 1 who's going to win that game.
The most impressive performance of the weekend, even considering how bad like the Eagles beat the Giants.
No,
offense.
that was no. That was
100%. Yeah, you're right.
because they were playing a much better team and they
Yeah.
dominated.
Yeah,
like I remember the
That was
like
dominant.
week 1, week 2, the Bills were supposed to be like the
They
That
were.
without
That
a
team.
doubt.
And they
They
were.
were.
And they
Killing
had a
everybody.
crazy start to the season.
And we
Yeah.
said it in our text messages. The Bills were favorites till about week 8.
Mhm.
Josh Allen was the odds-on MVP by a long shot.
By a mile.
They go get Von Miller. They signed
Yeah.
him to a big deal at an old age to be like their difference
And
maker.
he was good.
Yeah, and he was good. But and he gets injured, and suddenly now
Everything falls apart.
everything's falling apart for the Bills.
Yeah.
Claude Allen.
I mean, I think the Bengals, like, I really, really, really hate to say it. One, because they're in the AFC North. 2, because Eli Apple is absolute scum of the earth.
Yeah.
And his mom said to not really talk as much trash immediately after a team loses in the playoffs,
Kinda
even though
hypocritical.
Eli Apple has
Does
done
exactly
that
that.
exact
Kinda
same
hypocritical.
thing.
Yeah.
And he's really soft because he limits comments on Instagram.
That is so soft.
But
bro.
decides to
So
talk all
soft.
that trash. But I mean, they're really, really, really looking good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we think at this point that Joe Burrow has an argument for best quarterback in the league?
No,
No.
because
I would
Mahomes
say
If he
Yeah.
beats, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but if he beats Mahomes, he has an argument. I won't say it, but he can sit there and say, I have a case for
Because
being the best in the league.
here's my thing on Joe Burrow. He's not the most athletic. He doesn't have the most arm talent,
Nope.
but he has just enough of each of those. I think he's going to be our next Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
he's not the most athletic, he doesn't have the most arm talent, but he is a leader and he just wins.
The
So
problem,
is Mahomes.
the problem
Yeah,
is
over Mahomes.
Mahomes is Mahomes.
You mean
Mahomes is because Mahomes is like, he is just like one of those generational like talents. Like he can just do anything, right? He's like the next Rodgers with a better head on his shoulders.
Okay.
And a better,
Yeah,
and just a better like
that's
coach
a good
and
comparison.
team
Yes.
around him.
Because
Yeah.
the talent, that's a good comparison.
Joe Burrow is like the silent killer.
Yeah.
Like he will just win games, and he's undefeated against Patrick Mahomes.
That is wild.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear if he loses, Joe Burrow loses this weekend and Patrick Mahomes plays well.
Easily,
Mahomes is clearly the best, but if the Bengals win, I think they have a case. And again, I wouldn't sit here and say that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes, but you can't you could lay out an argument and be like, this is why Joe Burrow could be better than Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
And I think you'd have a fair argument. It's not. I mean, both quarterbacks are extremely good. They're both like franchise guys for the rest of their career for the most part. I mean, nothing's changing. Mahomes already has inked a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
That he's got 8 years left on, and Joe Burrow's probably good.
That's
And
nuts.
honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Joe Burrow gets a very similar deal.
Yeah.
Coming up pretty soon.
like we're about to watch these two for the next 15 years.
Yeah. And that's where
Fun.
we said that Joe Burrow's next Brady. The issue is it's going to be hard for him to get to 6-7 rings because Patrick Mahomes is in that same conference.
That's the thing.
and Josh
Yeah,
Allen's in the
yeah.
same
I was
conference.
the-
Trevor
yeah,
Lawrence,
yeah.
Justin Herbert.
I know. I meant more
man.
like mentality wise, and like I guess like as a
That's
player,
realistic,
that's
too.
what
Yeah.
reminds me most
Tua
of.
was a nice
Because there's no way
Yeah.
that because the AFC quarterbacks wise is a bloodbath.
And you're probably getting guys like Will Levis and Bryce Young into
Lamar
that conference
Jackson.
now.
yeah.
So guys who could be really good,
Awesome, yeah.
putting them into that
I
conference.
don't know about Will Levis, but
We're just
Maybe
throwing
CJ
out-
Stroud.
Will,
He's got
I
a
don't
lot of
understand
potential.
how Will Levis is like.
bro, he's going number 1 according to Mel Kiper.
I don't understand that.
Maybe some draft content later. Not time to break down Will Levis's football game. But
Texan.
I mean, I think we'll talk about it a little bit more in the offseason, but the Bills right now are in disarray. This is the worst thing
They're
that could
getting
happen to
further
them.
It's
away from
over.
the Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
it's
each time.
over.
They might.
Yeah,
They're getting close to needing to blow it up.
Yeah.
their windows. Like, I think
Closing
their windows,
fast.
I think their window's over. I mean, they're not going to be.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's
You
over.
wouldn't say
yet.
over,
I
but
would
it's
say over.
dang, you're
But it's
close.
like it. They've needed to get to the Super Bowl these past couple times.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs have just constantly beat them out for it.
Yeah.
But what about the Bills next year? Would
The
make you
Bills
think-
next year because they didn't even make it to the AFC Championship. They have a lot of expectations. If they fail next year, that's when there's going to be the conversation of do we blow it up?
But they were supposed to win it this year because they got the
Dude,
overtime.
they
goal.
were injured like
But
crazy.
let's think like
well.
if you have an outside shot to win a championship, you go all in, right? If let's say Joe Burrow got his ankle rolled up in that game and goes out for the game, and suddenly the Bills win. Now they're playing the Chiefs, who I don't really think have a great roster,
No.
and they're going to be playing on a neutral site. Suddenly, you can get the Bills in the Super Bowl, and if you make a Super Bowl, like, that's the whole reason
justifies everything.
that justifies
Yeah, it doesn't
everything.
matter.
So I think like if things can break your way and you can still win, then you go all in, and you still compete, you don't blow it up.
I agree, but the Bengals were playing with 3 backups on the offensive line.
That is also true.
Well, again, they also have one of the most talented like receiver rooms,
Skill
skill
players,
positions. They are absurd.
That is true.
yeah,
But
Joe Mixie.
like, I can't especially after the way Josh Allen played. I can't see.
no, that's an argument.
I can't see how
He
they
played like
would be
trash.
able to beat the Bengals because
And
the
I
Bengals
also
can. I think they're just a better team.
Yeah.
And I think that the Chiefs will just find a way.
Yeah.
Mahomes and Kelsey somehow, some way will find a way to beat them.
and also what you said last week on This Week in Sports, where it was like we needed a Evan McPherson or no, who's the
Trey Hendrickson.
Trey Hendrickson.
Oh,
He needed a legacy
legacy,
game. The Cincinnati defense was so
They
underrated.
were flying all over the
They what do we say? Get to Allen early and
Yep.
often. That is exactly what
Yeah,
they did.
and Allen did actually a really good job of holding onto the ball. He
Yes.
did not turn the ball over.
He didn't turn it over, but it was clear that the pressure was
Yes.
getting to him. He wasn't making throws.
And that defense was playing. I mean, Cincinnati's cold, but not as cold and as snowy as Buffalo gets.
but they were
And
playing out of their mind.
They were flying around the field. It looked like they were unbothered by the conditions. Buffalo's defense looked terrible despite having a defensive head coach.
Yep.
And that's where the most talent is on their roster. So, I mean, credit to the Bengals. I've said it earlier in a This Week in Sports episode that I thought Zach Taylor deserved more Coach of the Year's honors. I think Zach Taylor is the only head coach who could potentially be going to back-to-back Super Bowls, and people still think he's not good enough. Because going into this year, people were still like, I don't know if I still trust Zach Taylor, yet his team now finds himself in the second straight
all the way back. Yeah.
AFC Championship game. And they started the season like 2-4, 2-3.
Yeah,
Like, they didn't start the season off well.
Yeah.
And they still find themselves in this position.
Pretty sure the Steelers beat them.
Yeah, first game.
Yeah.
On a field goal.
Blocked.
Steelers
It was a
offense
blocked extra point.
horrible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
something
you got
weird.
very rusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, moving off that game, Giants versus Eagles. And if you're new around here,
There's not
Peter-
much to talk about.
Peter is a Giants fan, Andres is a Giants fan, and then Raj and I are Eagles fans. So we have
You're
a lot.
Cowboys fan.
We have a lot of NFC
Yeah,
East.
it's Cowboys.
We have a lot of
Doesn't
NFC
deny it.
East blood at this table. So just go on quick impressions. I don't think there's a lot
There's
to talk
really
about, but I also want to get your two reactions on the Giants' future in
Again,
this game.
This was very similar to the Jags game. It was house money. I think the Eagles clearly are the best team in the playoffs at this point. I also think it is kind of like the way the playoffs have worked out. Like it is the 4 best teams. Like in the end.
Absolutely, yes.
Like
Yes.
it is absolutely
Yes.
it is 1 and 2,
And this
one
is
and
what
2.
you want to see from the NFL.
Exactly.
You want to see
Absolutely.
this type of play.
Yes, and I think it was just like we were outmanned, we were outgunned. Like we just do not have enough talent. We have a
Yeah.
really young defense, and there's not a whole lot you can do when you're going up against 2 Hall of Famers in the offensive line in Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey, and you have an absurdly stacked like skill positions everywhere.
Yeah.
Boston
like-
Scott at running back.
Boston's got a running back who's the giant killer. He will always score. Hammer that. Do not take our
Always,
bets.
man.
Do not take our bets seriously, but hammer the Boston.
But
Scott
just think
against
about
the
it when we
Giants.
say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yes.
think about it when we say
Think-
it. Also, always hammer the Daniel Jones over. The rushing yards will always hit every time.
Except
It's free.
against the Eagles.
I think it did hit.
Did it?
I think
It
yeah,
might have.
I think
It
it,
honestly
He was
might
right.
have.
I think it hit in garbage time.
Yeah.
But But yeah, it's just we clearly need receiver. We need to get some more interior offensive line. I think there's a lot of hope for the Giants in the future.
Mm-hmm.
They went from a literal toilet bowl of a franchise
And
to
we're looking at
the divisional round of the playoffs. Like there's a lot of hope, a lot of potential, and I think if we get we have a lot of free agents that we need to sign that like Saquon, like Daniel Jones, like Dexter Lawrence.
Yep.
A lot of those guys, if we're able to finagle it and get those guys back on the roster,
Yep.
I think it's going to be really.
I
really
think
good
Dexter Lawrence said he would take a pay cut.
That's good.
I forget.
That is insane.
Because-
oh my god.
Well, I mean, people want to clearly people want to play for Brian Dable,
Yes.
and he has a good foothold in that organization. So I think
Yeah.
as a Giants fan, really just having the coach, he's going to win Coach of the Year. Having the Coach of the Year on your in your organization, and clearly who's happy there, that's huge. Just because you're now the Giants, hopefully with a good coach and hopefully a competent front office now.
Yeah.
For your sake, they're going to be very competent and very well run for years to come.
It's clearly such a different feel than past organizations where it's it was all talk and then nothing happened. Versus this one, it's there really wasn't a whole lot of talk and they just went out there and just executed.
I honestly believe that Brian Dable is going to be the next coach that we see, like an Andy Reid, like a Bill Belichick, where they're
Look
with the
at
same
the
team
resume.
forever.
Yeah.
Because he made Josh Allen.
Yes.
And he's made Daniel Jones go from arguably one of the worst
A meme.
quarterbacks in the
He
league.
was a meme.
He was a joke.
You can make an argument Daniel Jones is right outside the top 10 of quarterbacks right now.
You could
Yes.
at this very moment
Yes.
with the
Jacob's
potential
not
of the
fit.
playoffs. Listen,
I need to come up with the
The,
list.
You have to-
the people on the edge of that list, we're talking about Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr. Daniel
Dak.
Jones is right there with Dak.
he is better
Daniel
than Dak
Jones is right
Prescott.
there
I would
with
say he's better.
He is currently better than Dak. You cannot tell me
At the
Okay.
moment, yes.
I do have one question. If you could go back in time, would you redraft Daniel Jones?
Well, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't take Daniel Jones. I'd take Justin Herbert the next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Easy right All I'm saying is OBJ next year.
He's
I don't-
old, crusty. Give me Jordan Addison.
Yep.
OBJ's just looking for money now.
Yeah, he's old, and
He's
crusty.
crazy.
He can come back as a receivers coach.
Rod, what is your takeaway from
Yeah.
the Eagles?
Eagles played a dominant game,
Yeah.
both sides of the ball. We were playing good. It was nice to see Hurts, kind of getting more closer back to 100%. We're going to be put to the test against the 49ers. We'll see how we do.
Yeah, I think it was really
That's
encouraging
indeed.
to see him start getting out of the pocket. When they did the first read option and Hurts went with it, it was really encouraging just to see, especially because he's running with his left shoulder towards the defense. So if he gets hit on the side, he's getting hit right in that shoulder. So it was good to see. Just it seemed like the offense was pretty much running full speed until the end when they just wanted to run out the ball. And it was really good to see. I mean, talking about a professional team, like a team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, well-coached team. They came in, took care of business early, dominated that game on all levels, and that's what you want to see from a team that, especially me, who was rooting for that team, going into a game against a far inferior opponent.
You didn't want to play down to him.
Yeah,
You
we-
did not.
yeah,
And that was
and
very,
you-
very
and you
clear.
didn't. You
Yeah.
took care
You
of
didn't
business.
take the bait.
Yep.
You absolutely did.
And even at the end of the game, when it's they know you're going to run the ball, we're still getting the first down, still carrying it forward, still getting touchdowns just on the run game alone.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenneth Gainwell had 110 yards.
Yeah.
Sets a record for first rookie running back in their playoff debut.
Yeah.
And he's not even our RB1.
Yep.
And there's an argument he's not even our RB2.
Eh.
Him and Boston Scott share a lot of snaps. Although Kenneth
Against the
Gainwell is
Giants,
RB2.
Boston Scott's RB1.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was really good to see. Jacob, any thoughts on that game?
Dominant performance.
Yeah.
Did you
Hurt.
watch the game?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it really wasn't that much to watch.
There wasn't.
Yeah.
I think the first. I didn't watch the beginning. I just saw a text from Justin saying Devontae Smith was.
And it's like,
something
oh, yeah.
that. And I was
Smitty, yeah.
Smith is-
yeah, he's that guy.
He should have been ours.
Told you guys he was that guy.
He should have been ours.
Howie
Yeah.
Roseman masterclass.
We'll get Jordan.
Mhm. And Howie Roseman just won GM of the year.
Did he?
For the Eagles, yeah.
Oh.
He's one of the only 4 to ever do it 2 times.
Is that an award?
What did he?
Yeah, executive of the year.
According to who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Someone votes on it. I know he won it.
Remind me who he brought in this year.
Who brought in
A.J.
A.J.
Brown.
Jordan Davis.
Jordan
Oh, okay.
Davis.
Yeah, okay.
We had T.J.
The
Edwards.
fact that they
thrown a
fleeced
lot.
the Saints and have a
Hassan
Sidney
Reddick.
Gardner
Yeah.
Johnson.
Yeah.
James Bradbury.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
Linval.
And Dominican Sue.
It's wild that
They,
you guys
they
have
have a
that
top
much
10
talent.
draft pick this year.
Yeah, because we fleeced the Saints.
Yeah.
The Saints are so unbelievably dumb.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Just
So,
needed a little bit of reminder.
yeah.
God!
I mean,
You got that
we could keep a running list if you
Oh
want.
my god.
But I did not watch the Cowboys 49ers game because I was not here. But so I want to get your guys' take on it. I do know
We got
That-
Jalen breaker.
There's a lot of fallout in Dallas right now.
So that game, it was a defensive battle. That did not look like a modern day NFL game.
Not at all.
That looked like an 80s NFL game.
Mhm.
That looked like two incredible defenses just beating the crap out of the offenses. And then, like, every once in a while, they would get, like, a lucky break. Otherwise known as George Kittle being a god at tight end for some reason. Like, that dude's an absolute maniac.
He's just a frat boy off his meds.
He honestly, like, he is just, like, I don't know what he wasn't
Yes.
on at the time, but he looked insane on the field. He was, like, staring into the camera, just, like, going absolutely nuts. But, yeah, it was very clear that Dak has regressed during that game.
Mm-hmm.
He threw 2 picks. One of them, I'd argue, wasn't really his fault because it was tipped, but it was a ball he probably shouldn't have thrown to begin with because that defender was right on that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to force it into a tight window. But it's getting kind of loud in Dallas from
Very
what I
loud.
can
Mike
gather.
McCarthy's had to fire guys on his staff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I think because
Plus the cameraman.
yeah, he pushed the cameraman.
Oh, man.
Cowboys are burning Dak jerseys.
He looks like
the
Jabba the
Dallas-
Hutt.
Dallas Cowboys social media team calling out
Calling out
Dak.
their own
Yeah.
QB.
Granted, they were writing from an article that was written on their website. I will
But
give.
like,
on
Well,
their website.
Well, I agree, I agree, but
yeah,
like,
on your own franchise.
I'm not saying it's a great look, but I'm
No.
saying I am giving
But-
context to
but-
that
yeah, yeah.
situation.
But it still is like I think it's that in itself isn't necessarily bad, but it's everything
Yeah.
else adding up. Then that's just like tacked
Yep.
on. It's like,
Oh,
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Skip Bayless is out here saying he wants Aaron Rodgers on the Cowboys. Skip Bayless hates Aaron Rodgers.
there is zero chance Aaron Rodgers goes to the Cowboys.
I agree.
No way.
There's no
No
chance
way.
in hell he's going.
Jerry Jones
Lamar
and
Jackson to the Cowboys.
No.
Bro, at this rate, they're getting Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
no, literally.
Please.
They're getting handsome Dak.
You mean handsome Kirk Cousins.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and I just have Dak with a lot of dots after it on the list because just
I think
What-
this is his last season in Dallas.
I think he's got one.
Can you turn off Siri for the love of God? Anyway,
I think it's Dak's last ride, and
I think this upcoming year, if he does not do well, I think they're going to
Mhm.
draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
What's next for Dak, do you guys think?
I honestly, if I was
Carolina.
a backup spot.
if I was the Cowboys, I would consider seeing like if you could get him to like the Texans and have him start 1 year while you bench Bryce Young behind him for a year. Dak's contract runs out, he hits the free agent market. You elevate the next guy. Like he would just be like an Alex Smith for a young quarterback. Where
Mhm.
Dak's a good dude. I'm sure he'd be happy
Oh, he's
to
a great
mentor
dude. Yeah.
and teach younger quarterbacks, and then he gets an opportunity to just like shine on a bad team,
Yeah.
and then try to hit the free agent market. I think that's what I think it's what him, his agent, and the Cowboys trying to work
Yeah.
on is getting him into a situation where he can play his last year out on a bad team and just try to hit the free agent market healthy. Because I mean, Dak has a really bad injury history too. We forget the high ankle sprain that led to the ankle
That
fracture.
led to the fracture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was really bad. So, I mean, for him, just getting to that next contract would be huge because, like, he could just go down with another injury and it would be really bad for his
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
They really do.
Two things. One, Zeke should be completely and totally done.
Zeke said he's taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
He
doubt,
should-
because no one else wants him. He's bad.
I don't think that he should even stay on the Cowboys. I think he's completely done. It's kind of sad knowing how good
He was
that
so
draft
prime.
was-
Yeah,
was
he was
insane.
rookie and like
He was him.
second year Zeke was absurd.
It was
Yeah.
insane.
Now he's the most paid RB2.
But
Yeah, literally.
absolutely.
Tony
horrible.
Pollard is so much better than him.
I have to say,
100%.
Zeke is a pretty good RB2 though. When
When
they
it's
were
short,
doing
like short distance.
yeah, when they were doing like Tony Pollard and Zeke and they were really mixing them in, that was good.
it's a great combination.
Great combination.
It's the Thunder and Lightning.
And
It's
now,
like
now Tony Pollard's coming off. I know the injury's not terrible, but
Yeah.
now he's coming off an injury into free agent. I mean, they have to pay Tony Pollard. He's an unrestricted free agent, so
I think that's why Zeke took the pay cut.
he's gonna have to.
he has to, or else he's not getting, or else they're cutting him, and no one's picking him up.
Yeah, because they need to. I think Zeke wants to be RB2 behind Tony Pollard because honestly, I think he wants to just like he knows Dallas will pay him for a couple of years. He's not confident any other team's going to pay him much
No.
money because running backs in this league are continuing to be undervalued. Like it's not an important position.
Yeah.
Like you can look at the good teams right now. The Chiefs have Isaac Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, and they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is
Well,
really not
Edwards-Helaire
even playing
is
for them.
trash.
Yeah,
now.
he's out. But
And then he's out right now still.
Yeah, he's been out since like week 4.
again,
I thought he just moved on the depth chart. But yeah, you
well,
got
he did. He was
Oh,
moved out of the
yeah.
depth chart and out because I don't think he's just.
Yeah. Isaac Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, not big names, right? You got on the Bengals Joe Mixon, who he's pretty quiet most of the time. He's not like he's a good running back, but he's
Yeah,
not like a
unless he
crazy
drops
dude.
off.
He's, but the thing is that like I think it's because what you're going to get into, it's Mixon and McCaffrey. They're the hybrid backs.
Yeah,
They're not true
exactly.
running backs.
They're like Mixon and McCaffrey both catch the ball out of the backfield. And you look at the Eagles, they've got Miles Sanders too, but this is his first 1,000-yard rushing season, and they're not going to pay the dude in the offseason.
No.
So they're going to move Kenneth Gainwell into that slot, and you're just going to have a solid running back. I'm sure Kenneth Gainwell is going to like rush for 700 yards or something like that.
Like even Saquon, he's an incredible running back.
Yep.
Like he's so much more than just a running back.
Yep.
It's like every game, it's like, oh, he doesn't have like that many rushing yards. But it's like, yeah, but he has a total of 100 scrimmage yards like every single game. It's like they just put him wherever.
And the reason Jerick McKinnon is so good is because Jerick McKinnon's constantly getting receiving touchdowns on short stuff from Patrick Mahomes outside the pocket. So like the running back position is just not valued, and that's what the Cowboys are going to find out when they have to pay these guys.
And Zeke is a running back. He is not a pass catching running back.
Mm-hmm.
And we can definitely say that he's not a pass blocker. The last play of the game, my goodness, that was absolutely horrible. Okay. That was one of the worst plays I've seen.
In theory, that play isn't terrible. Except for the fact that they didn't account for the 49ers, who have the best pass rush in the league, just to go, oh, let's not rush the passer. And they just put a linebacker on Zeke who's just like, okay, I'll just go hit the quarterback now, and just blew him up. It looked like he was pushing a sled. Just
completely, totally fell over.
Imagine being Zeke. Imagine being Zeke and being told, like, here's the play. And he's saying, like,
why am I at center?
Yeah. Zeke reading the NFL script, like, wait,
what is happening? Yeah, exactly. And the Dak Prescott throwing a check down to literally the middle of the field where no one is there to like get in the way of the safety and like a 10-yard head start to like slam down.
That's Kirk Cousins levels of like.
Well, because it's like I think he was supposed to throw it to T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah,
because he had the blockers in front of him, or he was supposed to then get it to Turpin to then throw it back to T.Y. I don't know what the thought process was that like, what? They're just not going to go try to tackle the guy?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Maybe it was a really bad hook and ladder play.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say, though, is I give Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore credit. Like,
they tried something.
They tried something. It's better than just, like, I mean, they weren't in Hail Mary range, so it's better than, like...
Dalton Schultz got his foot down, but...
Yeah.
No.
But they tried to do something rather than just, like, the lateral stuff that ended up with the Raiders taking over, winning that game in a tied game. So... We're going to move on, though, to the future matchups. We talked about the last matchups, how we think about teams. We're going to do some predictions and just kind of like some narratives going into the games. And the first one we're going to start with, again, and this is in order of when they're happening on the weekend, 49ers at Eagles. I didn't ask for your prediction yet. I think this is what you want to see. These are the two most stacked rosters in the league.
Yeah.
By a mile.
By far. Yeah.
Well, most relevant. Like, this is going to be a great NFC matchup. And I don't think you have like a lot of narratives. It's simply just like the
two best teams going to play.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or it's the rematch of Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy from college.
Yeah.
Where Brock Purdy played better.
Yeah.
Somehow. There was absolutely zero defense that was played in that game.
Yeah.
There was Brock Purdy had 6 touchdowns. But anyway. But yeah, I think
this guy tried to tell me that Brock Purdy didn't play in any big games in college.
Unbelievable.
Okay, he played a few big games, I guess.
Against Alabama, Oklahoma.
Against Alabama.
Yeah. I think he played Alabama.
Iowa State played Alabama.
I believe so.
I don't believe that's true.
Sit there and do your research.
Fake fans.
So there
we can take on the game.
Fake fan.
Yes. So the two stacked rosters are like. I think this is probably going to be the most entertaining game. I think it's going to start off. I don't know if it's going to start off like a lot of scoring early because I think the two defenses are going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
To start off. I think the Eagles will have an edge earlier on because I think just that Jalen Hurts is a more veteran quarterback and Brock what.
So if Brock Purdy was playing for Iowa in 2001,
sorry, Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Okay.
Then Brock Purdy did play.
Dude, he's a dog. He's been playing there since he was born. Anyway,
and he lost too.
I might have Alabama.
By one. Tell him the score, Jacob.
14-13. Alabama was not good in 2001.
Anyway, we're on the NFL. Stop talking about college.
Pre-Saban era.
But yeah. So I think the Eagles have the edge early on just because they're a more veteran team.
Yeah.
They have a lot more of like the
playing at home.
Exactly, playing at home. A lot more veteran teams. But I think as the game wears on, I think if the Eagles can get Brock Purdy off his rocker and they can get the pass rush to him and they can get him uncomfortable, I think they will easily win that game.
Mhm.
But
Easily.
if they do, yes,
Yeah.
I will say that they will easily win that game because it will come down to Brock Purdy beating the Eagles defense.
Mhm.
And if he can't do that, they will not win, period.
Yeah.
But because the 49ers defense is very good,
Defense is good.
their secondary is iffy.
Yeah. Yep.
Their secondary is iffy.
Yep.
So I think if the Eagles can get to Brock Purdy, that's pretty much sealed game over. But if they can't get to him and he gets into a rhythm, it's going to be really hard to stop that team.
Yeah.
Because you have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. You have Elijah Mitchell, who's a very underrated running back.
Mhm.
George Kittle, arguably the best. He's the best tight end in the league. Travis Kelce's a better pass catching tight
Yeah.
end. Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and then whoever
Ray
Jennings.
McLeod.
Ray McLeod. Jennings is another guy
Yeah.
that was really good too. Like if they get going, they are going to steamroll.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a shootout.
Yep.
So then it's going to come down to, is the 49ers defense going to be able to stop Jalen Hurts? I think their front seven is disgusting. I think it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts' arm throwing against the 49ers defense
Yep.
and if the Eagles pass rush can get to Brock Purdy.
Unders?
Eagles crash out. Niners money line.
You're taking the Eagles?
I think I will take the Eagles. I think so.
Raj?
Who do you think I'm taking?
He's taking the 49ers. Anyway.
The Eagles.
Niners.
Eagles plus 3.5.
Okay. Is that all?
Or minus 3.5.
Yeah, okay.
Minus 3.5.
Okay.
It's like,
Minus,
that's not how
minus,
that-
minus.
Yeah.
That was bad.
All right. I think Peter hit the nail on the head. I think going into the playoffs, Brock Purdy, he had a pretty good, he was looking pretty good. Had a nice rhythm to him. He was, putting up pretty good numbers. I think he's out of his league completely, in this game. I don't see him being able to compete against the Eagles because the Eagles have a good front seven. They have good corners. And I don't think he's going to be able to. I just don't think he's going to be able to compete. I think they have the pieces offensively. I just don't think he's going to be able to do enough against them. The Jalen Hurts is just going to have to play well, which he's been doing basically
The
all
entire
season.
season.
As you mentioned, 49ers don't have the best secondary. They have a great front seven, but they don't have the best secondary. Eagles just so happen to have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert.
Say Miles Sanders.
Yeah, good.
I'm
good.
No, they have
Boston Scott.
they have Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson.
Yeah, they have Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson.
Say
I think that
Watkins.
Can you shut
No.
up, please?
you had your turn. And I think that I really do think that the Eagles should win this game. If Brock Purdy had played better against Dallas, I would want to say – I really do want to say 49ers because I said they were going to make the Super Bowl. If I recall correctly, I thought they were going to win. And I would like to be right, but I think the Eagles should
They should.
probably win this game convincingly. If the Niners had a quarterback –
You are a Brock Purdy skeptic.
Very much.
This is the second week in a row you've been really.
Well, did he play he played well enough to win the game? But did he play well enough?
Well, no,
the
I-
Niners played well enough to win the game.
Well, no, I'm agreeing. I'm saying I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying you're very skeptical.
You're a Brock Purdy hater.
You're just putting this game on it seems like you're putting this game a lot on Brock Purdy just won't be able to do what Jalen Hurts can do.
Exactly, because Jalen Hurts is a better
That's
player.
that's your
He's a
that's
better-
your analysis.
That's not a hot take.
That's fair.
He's just I think
That's what he's trying to boil your argument down to one thing.
You're just saying you think Brock Purdy won't play up to Jalen Hurts. That's why they'll lose the game.
exactly.
Yeah,
I think
there we
that the Niners do have good pieces, and I think that offensively they probably have a better roster. Defensively, front seven wise,
Is
I'd
better.
probably take the Niners.
But
Secondary,
that's the
Eagles.
difference. It's
That's
by
gonna make
far
the difference.
not even close.
And Brock Purdy, if the Niners had just really any other quarterback, if they had, I don't know about Trey Lance. I can't say Trey Lance because the sample size is too small.
They had Jimmy
Jimmy
Garoppolo. You have more
Garoppolo.
faith?
Maybe,
Either the same person. One's
But-
more mobile.
but I just can't see Brock Purdy getting it done. I think the Eagles are probably going to win at least by a touchdown.
Yeah, there is typically one blowout in every AFC champion or NFC championship
You think
game,
it's gonna be this one?
and the Eagles are. As an Eagles
They
skeptic,
have to.
I think they're going to steamroll the 49ers.
They should. If they get going, they should.
Now listen, I could be wrong. There's ways that the 49ers could win this game by the Eagles are not a great, they're not a great run defense. So if Shanahan really dials up some really good runs, they can win on that level. But besides that, Debo's a little bit banged up. I think Debo gets overhyped a little bit because of his breaking tackle ability in the open field, but I don't think he's necessarily a really good route runner, a really good deep threat, going to get behind Slay or get behind Bradbury.
That's fair.
His ability is that he might be in front of them, but as long as they can tackle him down, it'll be fine. But I don't think they're going to I don't think they have the receivers to really get behind the Eagles secondary, so they're going to have to do a lot of long drives. And our defense is good enough to get them off the field. Brock Purdy's going to get hit 1 or 2 times in this game, and he's going to have to get back up, and he's going to have to stand in that pocket and throw because they're going to send a lot of heat. Hassan Reddick's had a better year than Micah Parsons. That's simple fact. The Eagles defense is better than the Cowboys defense. So the Cowboys did a great job on the 49ers last week.
Yep.
The Eagles are going to take a lot of those cues. They're going to watch that film.
They're
going to do a lot of the same stuff. And I don't think the 49ers are really going to be able to score over 20-ish points. I think the Eagles score over 20 points on that secondary.
Yeah.
And I think this game could be a blowout. That's like my hopeful Eagles talk, but also I think the 49ers team is great, but I think the Eagles are rolling right now and they're also playing at home.
Yeah.
If the Niners had a corner,
I was just about to say,
and a quarterback, I think the Niners.
I genuinely, I think if they had a true number one corner to actually cover AJ Brown, I think it's a lot closer. But it's because who's Jimmy Ward is their number one.
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of
serviceable players.
They're going to use a lot of doubles with their safety. That's really good.
That's the difference.
But
that's going to open up Devontae. That's going to open up everybody else.
Yep, and I think and this isn't really about Brock Purdy in my opinion. I don't think this game changes much if Trey Lance is playing quarterback. I don't think it changes much if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing quarterback. And I mean, maybe you could say it's different if you take one of the top quarterbacks in the league. But I think there's a lot of quarterbacks where this result doesn't change. It's not going to be about Brock Purdy. It's going to be about the Eagles team just being better or the 49ers team just being better.
Yeah,
and that's how the
Jones
game's
is playing to be a different story.
Yeah. But moving on to the Bengals and Chiefs game, we'll just go around, do predictions really quick. Obviously, it's a little bit hard to know how Patrick Mahomes' ankle is feeling. And is videos coming out from practice. He looks fine. But then again, it could, for all we know, could get rolled up again during the game. And then it's fine. And then it's, it doesn't take much. I mean, we just talked about how Dak had the high ankle sprain turns into a fracture. So we don't know what is being portrayed to try to fake out the team. So with hesitancy, we're picking. No one's going to know before the game anyway.
Yeah.
So break it down.
This is a tough one because the Bengals, against Baltimore, they did not play well. They did not. They honestly should have lost that game.
Yep.
Then against the Bills, they turned on, they flipped the switch.
Mm-hmm.
They were arguably one of the best teams in the league, period.
Yep.
If they come out as the best team in the league and go touchdown for touchdown, point for point with Patrick Mahomes, I think they can win because the Bengals defense is better than the Chiefs defense.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Absolutely.
They're going to get to Mahomes. They're going to be able to shut down any sort of run game that they dial up. The secondary is definitely better than the Chiefs. It's not great, and it still is Mahomes. Because I know Jesse Bates, amazing safety. He's going to be really the one holding it down.
I mean, yeah, in CB1, Eli Apple's really good.
God, I was near to say that. I think it's really going to come down. I think this is going to come down more to the Cincinnati defense against Mahomes because I know Joe Burrow is going to be able to put up points against the Chiefs. I'm not worried about that. Are they going to be able to come out firing on all cylinders, and can the Cincinnati defense stop Mahomes?
Yep.
And I think they can. Because with the way that they shut down Josh Allen, I think they kind of have a blueprint to get some really weird blitzes.
Weather check, 27 degrees high that day.
That is, I mean, both teams are kind of from the Midwest, so it doesn't really matter.
Yep. Yeah,
but still, it's going to be, that means the passing game is going to be a lot harder because it's going to be like throwing a brick and catching a brick. So that's going to be tough. So I do think Cincinnati can do this. If they come out as the team that they've been playing as post-Baltimore game, I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
I think we're due for Mahomes' Super Bowl appearance again, and I think it's written in the NFL script that he's going to get his revenge against the Bengals, and I can see it. I have a vision of Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I don't know if he wins it or not yet, but I see him in the Super Bowl.
So,
I think it's going to be close.
Yeah. So you see a Super Bowl 52 rematch, 53 was it?
Couldn't tell you.
Ooh, I don't know, whatever the rematch. Yes, you see a rematch.
Yes, I see Chiefs Niners. Yep.
Bengals -2.5. It's going to go into OT.
A coin flip.
Yeah.
No, the Quins is not happening.
I know.
Shout out Josh Allen.
I know.
They cried.
I feel like, I don't know. I just have this weird ass feeling where it's going to go into OT. The Bengals are going to drive down the field, get stopped, kick a field goal, and then they're going to stop Mahomes because he's going to do something dumb.
If Eli Apple picks Mahomes,
Oh my
7
God.
Wait.
No. Don't
Please.
even.
I know.
Don't even
You're
speak
hedging
that
your
into
prediction on Mahomes doing something dumb in overtime.
Yeah,
All right.
he's done that before.
Yeah.
Yes.
One time. It was last year against the Bengals.
Yeah.
One time.
It was the last game. Wait, no. That was against the Bills earlier this season. He threw that pick, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a regular season game.
I don't know.
Mahomes has been genuinely
That's
bad.
Mahomes is great in the regular season. He is a god in the
Mahomes
playoffs.
has had one bad half of football in the
I
postseason.
got this
Yeah.
I got
So
this
we have both
feeling.
ends of the spectrum.
Mahomes was down 24-0 against the Texans and was tied or winning at
Won
halftime.
48-20, like 27 or something. Like
both ends of the spectrum.
I just don't want to see the Chiefs in another Super Bowl. That's all.
I think it's due.
I just want to see because we need the Bengals to reset the timeline.
Jacob?
what?
I will.
Oh, for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I will 100% be rooting for the Chiefs. I think Peter raises another good point. I think that because the Bengals I think they definitely had a chip on their shoulder going to the Bills game because they're people were saying that
The
they had
tickets.
already were selling tickets.
Even though logistically they had to
Count
do
out.
that, but whatever.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and then Joe Burrow's sent
Sending them refunds.
Send
So,
the refunds.
But with that, I think Steve Spagnuolo, it seems like he's a good defensive coordinator. Chiefs defense is fraudulent. I don't think they're particularly good. They have some good players.
I don't think they're fraudulent. They're just not good.
They're just not. Well, they somehow
Spagnuolo
always
has Spagnuolo has not been good since he was on the Giants. He had Daniel Sorensen at safety. Unironically.
That is true.
Okay.
Unironically.
Okay, so I take that back. The Chiefs' defense is just not good. I think that the Bengals, similarly to the Eagles, should completely and totally they have every advantage in this game. I mean, obviously, except for home field advantage, right?
Yeah.
I think that Joe Burrow has proven that he can play well in the playoffs and just in general against the Chiefs. The Bengals have great receivers. The Bengals' offensive line, even with backups, has proven that they can handle pressure well. The Bengals' defense played pretty well against Josh Allen and the Bills, who were supposed to be winning the Super Bowl this year. And did the Chiefs really get that much better this year as opposed to last year?
They're kind of the same.
Except for they don't have Tyreek.
They don't have Tyreek, but they have
playing
some.
6 rookies on their team.
They don't have Tyreek, but they have a better run game.
And okay,
But
but
that's
their
literally
run game is their run game really that good? Like, is it good enough to
It's
win them a game
Decent.
against?
I
the
wouldn't say
Bengals?
win a game, but it's decent.
No.
We'll
So
see.
I think
We'll see.
I think they're just a worse team overall from last year, and I think
So you have the Bengals.
I really hate to see it. You don't understand.
So
I
you're
really
you're taking the Bengals. You're not rooting for them.
100%.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals are. I think it should easily be Bengals versus Eagles.
Peter, what did you say last week about the Giants in the Eagles game? It's hard to beat a team 3 times. It is harder to beat a team 4 times in a row, and the Chiefs are not going to let it happen. The Chiefs are going to win the game. It's going to be a game about who has the ball last.
no.
But I refuse.
What happened during the Giants game? Didn't they beat them 3 times?
No, but you said it's hard to beat a team 3 times.
Yeah, I did.
And it's harder to beat a team 4 times.
4 times.
Was it like a close
4 times. It's not going to
4
happen.
times. 4
The
times.
Chiefs, the Chiefs are going to win the game. I don't know how. I was on the Bengals at the
I
beginning of the
don't
week,
know how.
but
The Giants covered with 30 points.
Patrick Mahomes, again, he's not going to miss
Shit,
as
real
Andre
quick
said, he's
spread.
not going to miss out on the Super Bowl one more time.
Do.
So with that being said, that is our NFL Championship weekend predictions. We hope you all enjoyed the episode. If you're made it this far, please drop a like and subscribe. It really helps a lot. And we'll see you next time on the Watch It Happen podcast.